All right, welcome back. We have our new podcast episode. This is Inside Look, South Jersey Girls Basketball. And today I have a very, very special guest from Wildwood, New Jersey. Her name is Gabby Turco. Gabby, hello, how are you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Great. I'm so excited that you decided to come and be a guest. I'm going to really get right into the questions so that our listeners can get a chance to know you. But I just wanted to mention that, we were down in Wildwood a couple weeks ago, and we were very, very fortunate enough to have a recommendation from Coach DePatry and actually Coach Ziggy from Stockton, and they both recommended T-John. So my daughter Gabby got into a training on a Monday, and then T-John was kind enough to invite us to come to the Tuesday, open gym, whatever workout, and that's where we met. And I was very, very impressed with you, not only as a player but as a person. You girls were just so friendly and very welcoming, and you made us feel real at home. So I wanted to let you know that I really appreciate that. And I think your parents should be very proud of you. They really should.
Thank you.
So we're gonna get started. Where were you born?
I was actually born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Okay, and then how old are you?
I'm 17 right now, but I turn 18 September 23rd.
Ooh, happy birthday coming up soon. That's fantastic. So, what high school did you graduate from?
I graduated from Wildwood Catholic, but I also went to Washington Township for my freshman and sophomore year.
Oh, that's fantastic. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later, and we can talk about the differences, between a big school and a small school and the differences between the towns, but that's great. And you just recently graduated, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your family?
So I live with my mom, Lucy, my dad and brother, Chris, and then my grandpa, his name is Mike. And then I have a dog. His name is Jax.
That's pretty awesome. So tell us a little bit about the history of your family, because I know that they're pretty much born and raised in Wildwood, and you worked your way back to Wildwood.
Yes. So my mom and my dad both grew up in Wildwood. And my mom went to Wildwood High, but my dad went to Wildwood Catholic. And then my dad's parents both actually graduated from Wildwood Catholic. So like when my parents went to or my mom went to college, and like later on they started like a family, they moved to Philadelphia.
Oh,
And then we worked our way back from Washington Township to Wildwood.
that's fantastic. My mom just purchased a house, and it's on Montgomery, and it's literally directly right across the street from Wildwood High School.
Okay.
And that school is it's just cool. I look at it, and it's just a cool building, and they have like a little garden on the side. It's like directly across from my mom's house, and it's just a great area. So I'm sure that it's different than being in Wildwood, but I mean Washington Township for you, but it's definitely a fun experience. So tell us about your childhood. You said you grew up in Philadelphia, and then talk about growing up, being in Philadelphia, and then going to Washington Township.
So I don't actually remember living in Philly. I only lived there or I was born there, and then I lived there until I was about like 3. So I can't really remember a lot about it. But after I moved to Washington Township, I went to elementary school and middle school, and then obviously I did 2 years there in high school. But as you say, there's a big difference in the communities, like not just the sizes, but like the different there's more schools and things like that there.
Yeah, Washington Township is definitely like a really, really big town. I remember like when I was a kid, Washington Township was, just coming up, and it was just growing. And in fact, that was all farmland and just open road. And I think over the last 20 years, Washington Township has really grown into a big, big community.
Yeah.
So, here's Wildwood. Here's Washington Township, real big community. Now here's Wildwood. Tell us a little bit about Wildwood. What's like living there?
So Wildwood basically, everybody pretty just about, and if you don't know them, you will soon to meet them. As you said, everyone, like when I came down here, everybody was very welcoming to my family and I, even though my parents like knew some people because they went to schools here and my grandparents lived down here. but everybody's very welcoming and friendly and very supportive of each other. And that's what I think I like most about it.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. So, do you live in Wildwood itself, or North Wildwood, or?
Yes, I live like right near the Wildwood sign.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. That's
Yeah.
that's that's really cool. So, what did your grandparents think about Wildwood now versus when they were coming up? Because I could just figure, like in the 60s and 70s, always hear those songs,
Mhm.
Wildwood Day songs.
Yeah.
You see the old, hotels with the retro signs, and it just seemed like it would have been a cool place. Have they ever told you stories about Wildwood?
Well, my grandparents, like on my dad's side, they owned like a little sports shop. Like back when my dad was like younger, like a little like you could get like different kinds of sports equipment and stuff like that there, but they don't have that store anymore. But it's mostly like how it is here, like they're seasonal businesses and like different a lot of families mainly like own them, and it's like the same kind of people that owned them when they were around, like in the same family kind of thing, and it just got passed on.
Wow, that's amazing. So
Mm-hmm.
what's it like in the off season versus now? I know now is probably like prime, rental season, vacation time, and I don't know if it's as crowded as it normally would be because of this whole coronavirus thing. But once Labor Day hits and everybody goes back to school, what's it like in Wildwood?
There's like it's kind of like no one on the road, and to the point where they actually like turn the traffic lights off, like I think it's October or November, and they stay all like flashing until like May. Honestly, um it's not a lot of restaurants stay open um because of the smaller population, because it's such a tourist town.
Wow. And how do you get around? Do you walk everywhere? Do you ride your bike? Or I mean, now that you drive, but how would you typically go?
In when it's a nice day, I try to like ride my bike, but mainly just driving now that I have my license.
Yeah, that's great. So I want to talk about, moving from Washington Township to Wildwood. So why don't you talk about what Washington Township High School was like? The size of the school, um, you know, the kids, the sports, just the community itself in high school versus, Wildwood Catholic.
Um, I think when I was, say, I'll start with like a school perspective. Like when I was walking the halls, I honestly would see new people every day at Washington Township that I've never seen before. And it was like I didn't even kind of know that they even went to our school. And then when I went to Wildwood Catholic, like I was seeing the same people every day in the hallways. Like it was the same faces. I wasn't really seeing anybody new, which again is a nice thing, like knowing everybody. Um, then like the sports wise, I would say down here a lot of more people are like in the community. They support you. And at what when I went to Wildwood Catholic, um, like don't get me wrong, at Washington Township, it was a big town, but I felt like more people were into like basketball down here than they were in Washington Township.
Yeah, I think it's just because it's just a small school. It's a close knit community. You
Yes,
know, if you figure most of the restaurants and businesses close, your sports and your activities are going to be, the entertainment down there. So it kind of makes
exactly.
sense, that's pretty cool. I mean, I would love to be in that kind of atmosphere where,
Even the plays, I feel like the school musical or the play thing, I felt like a lot of people even supported like those types of events.
wow. Well, now that the school has been saved, has there been any like anything different, or is there like more of a sense of community now that that know that they've saved Wildwood Catholic?
Yeah, I think so. I feel like they have come, like they came together more knowing like there's a chance of losing it, and that's more like that's reality check almost. Like they're like, okay, like if we stay together, we have more of a chance of saving the school and keeping it open for as long as they can.
That's great. So what do you feel are the advantages of moving from a big, group 4 school to a very, very small private school. So I'm assuming Washington Township probably would have at least 500 graduating kids in that class. I mean,
Yeah.
how many graduated with you at Wildwood Catholic?
Like 40 to 50 kids.
Wow, that's amazing. So what's it like being a part of that group of 40, 50 kids?
I feel like you got more attention in the classroom. Like teachers were able to like focus in more and help you like personally, as well as like the guidance office and things like that for college. And I feel like they were able to zone in more on you, and it was more like one-to-one kind of like help.
Wow, that's just great. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's move on a little bit. So we're going to talk about maybe outside of basketball. So what do you do besides basketball? What kind of hobbies do you have?
I like to go to the beach. I live just a few blocks from the beach in Wildwood, but that beach is a little long for me, so I like to go in the Crest. Um, and then I actually picked up a new hobby. Not like that I'm amazing at it, but I enjoy doing this. I started like baking and cooking over like quarantine. And that's pretty much it.
Okay. So I'll ask you a couple questions on that. So you said you want to go to Wildwood. You prefer to go Wildwood Crest rather than Wildwood. So
Yes.
I have to tell you that when I go to Wildwood Beach, I'm like exhausted by the time I get to the beach.
Exactly. It's like a mile to the water.
So typically I have 4 kids and then we have all of our belongings. So in the beginning, we were carting it all by wagon and strollers from the house, which is like about 2.5, 3 blocks to the boardwalk. Then we would walk 1 block over to Baker and we would go underneath the boardwalk and then we'd have to walk all the way out to the
Oh my
beach and pull
gosh.
and drag along the sand. So I've gotten a new system down where I load the family van up and I put all the belongings in the van and I drive right to the entrance where you can park on the beach. And I don't have 4-wheel drive on my car, so on our van. So I drive back to the house. I walk the 3 blocks up, the 1 block over, and then I walk all the way back. And that way it cuts the amount of a distance that we have to bring all this stuff to. But
Oh
I
my
will tell
gosh.
you that when we get to the beach, we pretty much stay there all day, and until we're ready to go, we don't leave because it's just it's a big undertaking. Because then I have to go back, I walk back home, I go get the car. By then, I have to go stop upstairs and get a drink of water because I'm sweating because it's always 100 degrees. So it's definitely something that Wildwood is such a great place, but man, that beach is crazy.
Yes. I would say like North Wildwood or the Crest is definitely an easier walk to the water.
Oh yeah, we last time we were there about when we saw you, we actually went to North Wildwood and we went to where 6th Ave, and where they
Okay.
have the shells that are in the shape of angel wings.
Yes,
So we
yes.
were right there, and it was great. I mean, I parked the car right in front of the entrance. The kids were able to play on the 2 playhouses. We walked on top of the boardwalk, the little walkway and
Hmm.
jetty, and then all of a sudden you're at the water. I mean, maybe a couple
Yeah.
feet, and that was just perfect. And I wish I could have that kind of walk to the beach every time. But what are you going to do? It's a beautiful place, and we can enjoy
Yes.
it. But the one advantage of being in Wildwood is you can definitely spread out a lot more from people. You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
so that's definitely a plus. So you talked about baking and cooking. So what kinds of things are you baking and cooking these days?
So I think the best thing that I made so far was either brownies or buffalo chicken dip.
All right, now you gotta tell me about this buffalo chicken dip. How are you making this dip? Like, what do you cook it in, or how do you make it?
A crock pot.
Ooh, man, I'll tell you what, that just sounds really good. Now, do you usually eat it with like nacho chips and stuff like that?
Yes.
Oh man, so I have a friend that listens to our podcast. His name is Dave Prown, and anytime we talk about food or anytime there's food, like we go back and forth on Twitter, we'll take pictures of our food and stuff like that. So I did an interview last week with Bella Runyon, and he was so hungry for wings after the interview. It was just funny. Like when we talk about food, it's like a whole nother level, and I think that's something that
Yeah.
everybody can appreciate food. So that's great
Yeah.
that you became a cook. You're going to need it when you go to college because you're going to be in the dorms. And I remember being in college, and sometimes the food was terrible in the dorms.
Well, the school that I'm going to, the food is very like good. Like there was actually like a survey that was put out, and they were something. I think it was like top like 10 or something like that, or top 20, something like versus like other cafeteria, like college cafeterias.
Oh man, I think I might have picked that school just for the cafeteria alone. That sounds so
Yeah,
good. You're gonna be eating there. You don't have moms cooking anymore. So you're gonna
I
be eating
know.
there 3 meals a day plus all your snacks. That's fantastic. So let's go on a little bit. So let's talk about basketball. What do you enjoy most about the game of basketball? Like, why do you still play it after all these years?
I just like the fact that like no matter like if you're having a good day or a bad day on the court, like you kind of just brush it off and you somehow pick up something new each time you step on the court, and you're able to like make yourself better and you know just continue on, um even though you had a good or bad day.
Yeah, I like that. So how tall are you?
I'm 5'9".
Okay. So I want you to think back for a second. Can you remember when you approximately started playing basketball?
Let's say like 5th or 6th grade.
Okay. So do you remember like how you got started in that, or who got you started, or why you got started in basketball at that age?
My mom played basketball actually in high school and college, and my mom was like my travel coach when I was younger, and she kind of like introduced me to it.
Wow, I didn't even know your mom played basketball. That's great. Where did she play? Where did she go to college?
So my mom went to American International, which is also in the conference of the school that I'm going to.
That's fantastic. That's pretty cool. So
Mm-hmm.
did your mom have any influence on you besides just getting you started when you were coming up to your basketball career?
Yeah, she always like said I should like try it just to see if I like it. And then like I said, she like was my when I did get started, she was my one of my travel coaches.
Wow. So can you remember like looking back when you first started, do you have any like distinct memories of you playing, practicing, going to games, or I mean you could share with everybody?
Yeah, so basketball wasn't always like my main sport, so I actually kind of like dreaded like going to practice and like going to games and like just even playing. Like I used to play, so soccer was my main sport. So at one point I actually wanted to stop playing like basketball just so I could play soccer like all 4 seasons.
So, okay, here you are. You're in grade school. You just started basketball. I'm sure you probably
Mm-hmm.
started soccer when you were younger.
Yeah.
What made you switch? Like what made you say, "You know what? I think I like basketball better and I want to continue with basketball."
So right when I started was about like the age that you could play like AAU, and I was like, I'm not really like practicing basketball. Like I'm only just doing it just to do it. So I'm like, if I actually like put in more time to basketball, then I could be like so much better. Because I was like decent as a like 5th or 6th grade. I mean, I wasn't amazing, but I also was pretty good for not like practicing. So I just was like, let me just try AAU and playing on like a different club team and getting more involved to it. And I ended up like actually liking it more than soccer.
That's pretty awesome. Now, how many years did you play soccer?
I started when I was really young, and then I think I don't even know when I started actually, but I know I like stopped playing when I was in like 7th grade, maybe. I think so. Yeah, 6th or 7th grade, I stopped.
It's funny because I talk about different sports and cross training and doing multiple sports is good in general, but there's something about girls who play soccer and basketball. I think
Mm-hmm.
I always remembered that when my daughter was coming up, the soccer season would make her better for basketball and the basketball season would make her better for soccer. And it was like a fine little thing where it made her be aggressive on offense and defense, the pace of the game. She was diving for balls, and I noticed that a lot. That when I watch girls who have played soccer, their style of play is different. They bring a soccer
Mm-hmm.
style to the court, where other pure basketball players play a little bit differently. I mean, I don't know. Do you agree with that, or?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
I have a friend, Nick Lowe, in the Shore. We talk about that all the time. So typically, if he has a favorite player, it just goes and he finds out that they played soccer, which is amazing. So I think that soccer helps with your footwork, your coordination, and your balance.
Yeah,
And I
definitely.
also think that it helps you in the beginning to stay active because soccer, in my opinion, is easier to learn as a young kid.
Yeah,
And then basketball is hard because you have to keep on dribbling the ball. You have to control the ball. You can't travel, the passing, the shooting, the scoring. It's very frustrating in the very, very beginning. I remember games we go to, and if the score was more than 10 points between two teams, it was a big scoring game, for the
exactly.
little
Yeah.
kids. You could barely even hit the rim at that point.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm glad you stuck with it, and I'm glad that you continue to practice and really stay dedicated because it's paid off for you.
Thank you.
So, what position do you primarily play? What did you play in high school?
I played shooting guard and like wing majority of the time, but like in some cases I did bring the ball up. So, but I would say shooting guard was my main position.
Okay, so how do you think you're gonna, I guess, work out in college? Like, what do you think you're gonna be playing in college?
Honestly, I want to play the wing and be a shooting guard, but wherever they put me, I'll just play the best that I could in that position. Maybe like some cases bring the ball up, but mainly stay on the wing in college.
I mean, that's a great attitude to have. I mean, I think that
Yeah.
if you go to school or go to any situation and expecting a lot, you might be disappointed.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you go out there with the attitude that you have, that you're just ready for any and all challenges, and you take whatever you can earn, you're going to be happy because you're going to feel like it's a success. And I have no doubt you're going to be
Exactly. Yeah.
successful. You're going to be great, man. This is going to be
Thank
awesome.
you.
So, if you could choose any word to describe yourself, what would it be and why?
I think I would say observant. I feel like I'm a very observing person. Like when I first view a situation or first meet somebody, like I kind of just like to take everything in, um, and see how others react or what other people say in situations, and then I just pick up a lot of things very quickly.
I think that's a really good quality to have. Being observant, trying to be aware of your surroundings, getting a chance to know the people that you're with, who you can trust,
Mm-hmm.
who you have to watch your back with. I mean, that's something that you have to learn in life, but I think in college even more so, because there's going to be situations that you could be potentially vulnerable, and if you don't have people that you can trust with you, I think that there might be you might feel unsafe, or
Exactly.
you won't know who to count on if there is an emergency, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think being observant is just fantastic. So definitely keep doing that, and just be careful of who you make your friends with in college, because I think if you're careful in who you choose your circle to be in your circle, I think that's going to really affect you as you go forward, and it's going to help you to have a real successful and great time in college, which is going to be fantastic.
I agree.
So let's talk about your transition to high school. So did you play middle school basketball at all, or did you just play travel throughout the town, or what did you
Well,
do?
in Washington Township, we didn't have like middle school teams, so only team I played for was, um, like our town team, like our travel team.
Okay, and then so that gives you a chance to play with more kids, because how many middle schools aren't there? Like 3 middle schools.
Yeah, 3 middle schools.
So I mean that makes sense that there was kids that you would see every day brand new, because you don't even see them in grade school
In
or middle
school,
school.
yeah.
So what was basketball like for you as a freshman and sophomore at Washington Township?
It was like definitely an adjustment. I started out on JV as a freshman, and then like later in the season, I got brought up to varsity, and then my sophomore year, I played varsity, but yeah, sophomore year I played mainly or all of varsity, but my freshman year was just JV and varsity.
So what did you think about, being on the team? I mean, you go from a team where you have 7, 8 players in travel, and now you go
Mm-hmm.
to a school and they have a freshman team, a JV team, and a varsity team, and you're part of a bigger program. What was it like transitioning from a small, travel team for the town to a big high school?
I think the upperclassmen were very welcoming and nice, and definitely helped get us acclimated as freshmen. But it was definitely a big adjustment going from a smaller team to a bigger team, and practicing with a bunch of different girls, in different, in different levels.
Okay, so now your family moved. So when did they actually move to Wildwood? When did you guys make that move?
Um, the the summer after my sophomore year, we actually like moved down here, to help like take care of my grandparents, and now I live with my grandpop, and it was great because now he was able to come to more of my games.
It is nice when your family can support you.
Yes.
So what made you? So your mom went to Wildwood and your dad went to Wildwood Catholic. Did you guys like flip a coin to figure out which school you're going to go to, or how'd you pick Wildwood Catholic?
Well, my grandpa on my dad's side, so I live with my grandpa on my mom's side, but my grandpa on my dad's side taught there. So like he helped me like not recently he hasn't taught there, but like in years past. So he helped us get like um in there pretty much, and I shadowed at Wildwood Catholic, and I just felt like it was going to be a good fit.
That's fantastic. So you
Mm-hmm.
played there for your junior and senior year.
Yes.
Talk about a little bit what it was like, going to a new school, a new team. Did you know anybody in the school? Did you know anybody in the team? Tell me what it was like about, being in that situation.
I knew Mariana, um, and then like I met her through like actually a summer camp. I mean, not a summer camp, a summer league. But then I met the rest of the girls at summer camp that we did and summer leagues. And the girls were very welcoming. Coach Apatri was very welcoming. Um, and I met them through like camp, summer league, and then I also worked at Mariana's restaurant my first year down here.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. I
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy Coach Patrick. I think he's just a phenomenal person. So
Yeah, he's awesome.
he was actually a big help because I was, like I said, when we were down there, I was trying to find a place for Gabby to train.
Yeah.
And now that we met T-John, in the future, if we're able to go down to Wildwood more, we'll be able to, go to T-John, do some training, meet up with some of you girls and get together, which is just a great opportunity, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
And he's just been so friendly and just really just a great guy. I just love the way he coaches. So this is great. So tell me what it was like being at Wildwood Catholic. So you were there for your junior and senior year. Was it a big transition for you? Because, I mean, obviously coaching styles are different. Plays are different, right? The way the style of play is different, the pace of play.
Yes.
Even the gymnasium's different, right?
Yeah.
Talk about that if you don't mind.
I some people hate it, some people love it playing in our gym. I love it. I feel like the crowd gets so into it because they're so close to the court. The coaching style was an easy adjustment. We just kind of ran like a 5-out motion, continuous kind of offense, and the defense was man to man, which I like playing more than a zone. And other than that, I felt like it was a very easy transition. That my teammates made it very easy for me to, kind of get started.
Yeah, so that's the hard part. When you go to a new situation, you don't know how you're going to fit in.
Exactly.
So what was your role primarily on the team? Your junior and senior year at Wildwood Catholic.
I did start my junior and senior year, but I felt like Coach DePatry looked more for me as like and the other captains on the team. I could speak for them too, like to kind of just be leaders, like not only off the court but on the court as well. And just bring like an intensity to practice like every day and even for games too.
It was funny because this year I went to the SJBIT game with Cherokee and Wildwood Catholic, and my daughter was hurt. She hurt her ankle, and she wasn't able to play. But I remember watching the game, and I was very impressed with the way that you played, your style of play, your energy on the court, your intensity. I mean, it was a great game. It was fun to be a part of. Everybody was like cheering. Great sportsmanship. I mean, both coaches were battling it out. That was a fun game. But that's when I really got a chance to watch you, and I was really, really impressed with the way you played. Unbelievable.
Thank you.
So talk about anything that was special to you as far as like achievements or accomplishments or awards you've been, able to get, since you've been playing basketball in high school?
My favorite thing like that this year, I would say one thing that I always looked forward to was playing in some kind of all-star game, and unfortunately I couldn't play in it, but I was very excited that I got selected for the North-South game. And then I scored 1,000 points this year, like collectively, and then I made some other like the conference team, the Al Carino game I was gonna play in, and some other like first team all CAL.
That's cool. So can you do me a favor? Can you tell us about like what it was like to score your 1,000 points? Why don't you talk about that, the game, what it was like going into the game? Did you know that you were going to be close to scoring 1,000 points, and what it was like and what happened after you scored?
Well, the game before it, we played Middle. That's one of our rival teams, and then coach like told me that I was coming up, like approaching it, but I didn't really like look too far into it because I didn't want to like psych myself out. And then once the game like got to like ready for game time, I was a little nervous. But then after, when I like finally got it over with, it was amazing. Like my family all came to that game. I just remember like seeing how happy and proud of like my parents were of me, and coach even was very happy for me, and my teammates were so happy for me. It was just a good feeling.
So how did you score your 1,000th point? Do you remember that part of the game?
I did it. So I passed it in to Mariana, and then I cut, and then I just laid the ball up.
Wow. That's fantastic.
I remember T-John telling me, like, don't score it on a foul shot. Like, anything, any way you can, don't do it on a foul shot. Like, try and make it, like, a memorable shot.
Well, that's really good advice.
Yeah.
I think it's something that you remember your whole life. Do you remember who you played in that game?
Yeah, we played Atlantic City.
Wow. That's cool. I mean, competitive team, big game.
And their gym is huge.
Oh, you did it at Atlantic City?
Yeah. Unfortunately, it wasn't in our home, like, court, but their gym was huge. And the boys were playing after us. I remember our boys were playing after us.
So when you scored, when you're going to the game, and then obviously you look around and you start seeing your family, did that give you more indication that you were very close to scoring your 1,000th point?
Yeah. I knew going into the game, like, as the game was there, like, I remember, like, that was the game I was going to, like, I was close to. But I tried, like, my best just not to think about it and just, like, play, like, as if it was a normal game so that I wasn't, like, getting nervous.
Okay. So what was your, if you can think about your career, and I don't know if I had asked you this in the questionnaire I gave you, but do you have like a game that stands out in your mind, or like a moment that stands out in your mind as like your most, besides your 1,000th point, your biggest memory that you'll like always think about even as you get older, and you'll be like, man, that was such a great thing, or that was just awesome to be a part of. Do you have a moment like that?
I think either the game that we played against Sanford of Delaware, they were really good. Probably like one of the better games that we played this season. We lost by 1 point, but I just remember it being like a fight like the whole game. Or I would say any of the middle games, they were always like down to the wire, very good games, very competitive.
So what can you tell us a little bit about the last actual game you played and what it was like being on the court for the last time as a high schooler?
So I remember at one point it was in the fourth quarter and we went down. I don't remember how much. I think it was like by 3 or something like that. And I was like, Coach, we're not going. I looked to Coach DePatri and I said to him, Coach, we're not going down without a fight. And I remember like when the final buzzer came about, like it almost didn't seem real that like my high school basketball career had come to an end.
Wow. Who was that game against, and where was it?
It was at Wildwood Catholic, but we played Gil St. Bernard.
Wow. I mean, what did you think like after the game, knowing that was your last game that you'd ever play as a high schooler for Wildwood Catholic?
it was I said, it didn't really seem real, and I kind of like I look back and I'm like the time just went by like super fast, and like if I could like look back and as like a freshman, like don't take like any game for granted, no matter like their skill level or anything like that. Just like play your hardest no matter what.
That's great. So what do you think were your strengths as a basketball player? I mean, the season for your, your overall career, like what are you really good at? Like what can you, count on for yourself, like that you feel proud of yourself that you have those qualities? What do you think?
Um, I think I definitely got like stronger and faster. Um, but I also feel like my I'm pretty like a decent shooter, and my mid-range game has definitely improved.
That's great. So if you could think about your weaknesses, which is something that's important because you're going to be, going on to play in college,
Mm-hmm.
what are a couple of things you need to work on, you think, that will help you to improve and be better at the next level?
I think shooting off the move and like shooting in transition, um, and like coming off screens and defending screens would definitely be like my weaknesses.
Yeah. So I know we talked about this a little bit before the interview, but what are you doing now to prepare? Because I think you told me you're leaving August 13th or something like that.
Yes.
So you have a couple weeks left. Like, what are you doing for your last push to get ready so that when you step on that campus, when the coach calls you onto the court, you're going to be ready to show what you got?
Um, I try to get in the gym with T John as much as I possibly can, which is usually like 3 to 4 days a week. Um, and then I've also been doing like strength and conditioning training, which is not on the island, it's offshore, but I do that like 2 to 3 times a week.
Wow, that's great. I think you're just going to be, primed and ready to go. And at this point, it seems like you've really used your time wisely, that you've had that break and the whole quarantine. And that's what I want to talk about next. Um, you know, Looking back, I know that, the coronavirus is still kind of impacting our lives now, but how did it impact the rest of your senior year?
So I actually like we weren't gonna have like a senior trip, because the school is so small. So my parents like planned it was just gonna be my parents and I, and we were gonna go to like a family vacation to Jamaica. And that was obviously canceled, but we didn't have prom, um, either. But I felt like our graduation was actually really cool. Like we had it outside, but this is like a different thing that they did this year because like so much was taken. Like they actually had like tram cars and like on the boardwalk, and we all like got on the tram car and we like rode up and down the boardwalk, and our parents were like there like waving and taking pictures. It was actually really cool.
That really sounds awesome. It sounds like a
Yeah,
cool thing that makes it special. So, are there
exactly.
anything? Is there anything that like happened, during this coronavirus that was like a positive or like a plus or something that you're like, wow, this is cool. It happened and it's even better, or like it's something that you can be proud of or happy of.
Um, I'm really like glad that obviously not up because of the virus, but I'm glad that like I was able to get closer to my family and be with them like right before I go. And I feel like we made some like funny memories, and you know like we spent a lot of time together, which was awesome.
Yeah, that does make it, more special because I will tell you that when you go to college, you're going to be busy. It's going to be, like a whirlwind. You're going to be popping in and out to your parents' house, and you're just not going to have that family time like you're used to. You're going to be on
Yeah.
your own, being observant, trying to find some new friends and, navigate your way through life. But it's going to be a great experience for you. So congratulations on your commitment to St. Anselm. So can you tell us about, your recruiting there and how did you know that it was going to be the right place for you and why you actually committed there?
So we had a tournament last year in Boston, and they actually like they weren't there to see me at first. They were just there like, scouting and recruiting other people, and then they were at one of my games, and then they reached out to my AAU coach. Um and I talked to them, the coaches, and I set up a visit. And when I went to the visit, like it was just something about it from like the moment I got out of the car and like to the point where I was, in the coach's office at the end. It was just something about it that I felt like it was the right decision. Like they were very nice, and it kind of reminded me of how the coaches are at Wildwood Catholic, very welcoming. They have like a similar style, and I just got like a very family and close knit kind of vibe when I was up there.
That's pretty cool. So can you tell us a little bit about the school? Because I actually have a high school classmate. I went to Bishop Eustace.
Okay.
And I have a high school classmate that went to St. Anselm, but I never got an opportunity to hook up with him and go to the school. But he loved it up there. His wife, I believe, became a nurse. He loves the school now. But I don't know anything about it. Can you share a little bit about the school itself?
Yeah. So the school itself is relatively small. There's only a couple thousand kids. But it's in like a residential kind of area, like many houses around it. But just about like 5 to 10 minutes away is Manchester, the city. And there's like restaurants and, different shops there. And it's kind of like the campus itself is kind of like spaced out because they have so much land, but it's like kind of hilly too. They like the nickname of the campus is called the Hilltop.
Wow. That sounds like a great, great place. Now, were you attracted to the size of the school? Because obviously, big and small. You were at Washington Township, and it was really big. And now you go to, Wildwood Catholic, where every single kid by first name, and you hang out with them, and you're all friends, and you're real close. And now, here comes St. Anselm, and it's a small atmosphere. It's a small campus. I mean, was that, something that was important to you?
Yeah, that was I felt like one of the pros to choosing the school as well, too. I didn't really want to go to a school where I was going to be in a lecture with like 500 kids. Like I wanted kind of like a smaller class size.
So what are you going to study when you get to college? Have you really figured it out, or you're still thinking about it?
So my major is going to be computer science, and then my minor is cyber criminology.
So what makes you so interested in computer science?
Not like just like I just know that like in the future, like computers are going to be something like big, and I'm kind of going the route like what will be important in a few years when I go to look for a job.
Okay, so what kind of job are you looking for once you graduate college?
I want to end up in the FBI. And my old soccer coach was really high up in the FBI, so I kind of have been talking to him on like in like different, tips and advice that he has for me. So I'm trying my best to end up there.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, the fact that you play basketball, that'll keep you physically, in shape. Then you're, just a great student. So now you'll be able to, do well with the computer science and the cyber criminology. And then hopefully, as you graduate, you work your way towards, following your dream, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So let's go down a little bit. We're almost, through our interview. And I'll tell you what, this time's like flying by. And I'm really just enjoying talking to you and learning about you. So what are your goals as far as, college, for basketball? Like, what are you looking to do, as you come in as a freshman?
I want to make an impact in some way. And obviously I want to play and get on the court. But my main focus is how can I make an impact as a freshman.
So have you looked at the team or gotten a chance to meet any of the other players?
Yes, I met the girls on my official visit, and unfortunately, since it's so far, I wasn't able to get up on campus to watch a game, but I saw them when they played Pace.
Okay.
University.
And is there any other incoming freshmen this year?
Yes, there's actually 3 other girls.
Now, have you had an opportunity to kind of talk to them at least, or meet them online, or?
Yes, they were on my official visit. 2 of the 3 girls were on the official visit with me.
That's great.
And they're really nice, and I can't wait to get started with them.
So we're getting to the end here. I want you to think about this for a minute. So typically what I do is I ask, young ladies like yourself to give advice to, the younger generation. There's girls that are listening to the podcast who are maybe middle school or even, underclassmen in high school, and they want to play in college.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of advice or words of encouragement would you give to these girls that want to play at the next level?
Something that always stuck with me, and I want to pass this message forward, would just be like never to count yourself out in any situation, whether it be in sports or, in life or when you are in the classroom. Like, never doubt yourself and always put in the work and strive to be a better version of yourself, on the court, in the classroom, or just in life.
That's great advice. That's really, really awesome. And I hope that the ladies that are listening, even young gentlemen out there, just work on that. Never count yourself out. Never give up. I mean, I liked how you said to your coach on the last game, we're not going out without a fight. You know what I mean? To me, that's just fantastic. I love it.
Thank you.
So let's ask the final thing here. I'm going to ask you if you want to take a moment. Why don't you thank your parents, your family, your teammates and coaches? And I know it's hard because, a lot of times we're afraid to we were going to forget somebody or anything like that. But what do you have to say to the people that supported you the most and helped you to get to this point where you're able to get ready to play for college?
Honestly, I really wouldn't be here without the support and love from my parents, and my brother. Obviously, my grandpop has come to pretty much all of my games throughout my junior and senior year. My other grandparents, and the rest of my family have showed me nothing but love and support, and I couldn't thank them enough. But I would also like to thank Coach Steve, T. John, Coach Kate, and my teammates at Wildwood Catholic, and just the entire Wildwood Catholic community for welcoming me these past 2 years and bettering me not only as a basketball player, but as a person. I feel like I've been here my whole life, and they taught me so much, and I just want to say thank you.
Wow, that's great. Gabby, I look forward to following your career at St. Anselm. And I definitely, we're going to hit you up when we get back down there next summer when you're home, to train with you and play with you. Because like I said, I just really respect you a lot. I'm going to tell you that, one thing that I really enjoyed that you did is that you really were very kind to my daughter. There's girls out there that are very intimidated or shy or nervous. And man, you guys made her feel like welcome right away. And I don't think she was nervous at all, but you girls are just fantastic. So I really respect you girls a lot.
Thank you.
But I hope that she can learn from you because I just love the way that you play. And I hope that she can pick up a couple of things. So I look forward to seeing you guys down the shore when you come back from college. And I want to hear all about, what it was like at St. Anselm and how you had a great experience and impacted your team.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me today.
Gabby, we'll talk to you soon. Take care, okay?
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.